Frustrated with freelancing platforms that don't recognize your worth? Tired of the whole client vetting process, talent mismatching, and insanely high platform fees? Alchemunity is the solution for you. Unlike all those other platforms, Alchemunity has a built-in process that prevents downbidding. It also does not charge freelancers any transaction fees. The talent matching process is also made easier with its unique gamified scoring system. And vetting is much more effective because Alchemunity offers a two-way review every time a project is finished. So if you see freelancing as a lifestyle and want to build a successful freelancing career, then choose Alchemunity. Register now at alchemunity.com.
Hi,
and welcome
back to...
Wait.
Oh.
Let's pour first.
Pour?
Pour.
The podcast. It's just not quite serious.
For freelancers that like...
For freelancers who like
alcohol.
Fun.
Yeah, it's true. It's not even about drinking. You just have to like fun.
If you want alcohol, you can have it.
Right.
If you
I don't
like
even
fun,
think alcohol has to be about fun.
No, yeah.
Or fun needs to be about alcohol.
No, it doesn't. If you like fun, you pour yourself a bottle of water or
with limes.
This, and you have fun with us. Cheers.
Welcome back to Freelance Bitters!
Sorry, it cracks us up every time. You guys like my hat? I got it from Michael Keenan.
Not true. She actually got it on the street. She found it. It's still suntan. Look at it. It's so dirty.
Okay. So on this session, we want to talk a little bit about our origin stories. So, Michael, how and why and where and when did you get started with freelance writing?
That's a lot of questions. So, and y'all asked for this, so here we go. All right, so...
Once upon a time.
Your girl here, she was working at the restaurants her entire life, right? So I started working restaurants when I was 12. I was a bus kid.
Cool.
And I did everything from busing to scrubbing the kitchen floor with a toothbrush. And it was an on-the-books job.
Nice.
Waiter, bartender, manager. I've done it all. And that's why I own a bar here now in Mexico. Well, in Guadalajara, I should be more specific.
Nice.
Because when we say Mexico, people think Cancun, but I don't think Cancun.
Guadalajara.
Mm-hmm. So my story started back when really I did the normal thing, right? So I went to college, and then in college...
Wait, you went to college and not to Twitter?
I did. I didn't take Twitter University. I took State University.
Go on.
In Albany.
Okay.
And so I started working really young, like I said, and I went to college. I never stopped working in college.
Okay.
So I worked in college. I did catering. I did cooking, which I'm not even a good cook now, but I did cook back in college.
Okay.
And then I also, I worked at the local co-op doing like the bulk section. So I would just like basically refill like the stuff in the bulk, like just pouring stuff in. That was like my job. And then I tried to get into the health and wellness section because I liked health and wellness. I always did. I always did more back then than I do now. But I had more focus on it back then.
Okay.
So as life went on, I moved around a lot, and I had a lot of jobs in restaurants. I would quit them and then travel and move somewhere else, yada, yada. And it was in Portland. I was living in Portland, Oregon, and I was managing a restaurant.
Okay.
And I had a friend there, and he was I don't know, I haven't spoken to him in a while, but he was a freelance designer. And he designed like interfaces for like The Sims and stuff like that. So he was like an established freelancer.
Okay.
And we were chatting one day, and I was like, dude, like I need to get the fuck out of restaurants. Like I hate working here. Like I was managing at the time, because like with restaurants, like I feel like the progression is at some point you either become a bartender or a manager, because a lot of people don't like being a waiter after a while. Mm-hmm. I certainly didn't like waiter after a while. So at this point I was managing, and the money was good, whatever. But I also had a good schedule.
Okay.
I worked Monday through Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good schedule. And a mix of like in the like opening and closing. So the thing was though, I just wanted more freedom. That's always the reason why people turn to freelance.
It's freedom, baby.
We're the rebels. Baby. We are the rebels of society. So I quit. What happened was actually I did not quit right away. I started doing freelancing. I was writing. I did a little freelance photography work. I also did freelance like customer service.
Whoa.
Yeah, like it's different. Very like there's actually like a market. I don't know how big it is now, but in 2000, in like the 2014 through 16 years, there was a freelance like customer service market.
Great.
Because I would just like make calls to people and or like I wasn't a receiving. I was like a proactive customer service person.
I would like want you to call me.
Like, hey.
Okay. Go on.
Hi, how can I help you, ma'am? Like, what are you up to these days?
Nothing.
So pretty much like through that, I quit my full-time job after I started getting more freelance work. I was living in my van for a while on purpose in Washington and Oregon, and I ended up coming down like through Nevada, ended up ending in Albuquerque.
Where do you shower when you're in a van? Just like a gym or something?
No, you don't shower in a gym. You shower in... No. So when I would shower, I would either bathe in the river or I would stand in the parking lot at night outside of my van. Like you can put like
one of those things.
Yeah, you can like open both doors and I would like put a blanket over and I would just do like
a sun shower type of thing?
I didn't use a sun shower, but yeah, sun shower.
Like
you could do a sun shower. But no, I had a water tank.
Okay.
And I would like put the water into a bucket and like stand and like scrub into the bucket and then just...
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a fun experience. I actually really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So that was kind of my segue into freelance though. It was like I wanted to travel in my van. I couldn't work at a place. And so I think as I mentioned in another episode, like I was writing in bars and living in a van by the river and all that other fun stuff. And that's pretty much my story. That's how I started doing freelance writing. Was through like just trying different freelance avenues. Okay. And I didn't even have an knack for writing. I'm sorry. I didn't have like any professional experience in writing. Like in college, I did research, like academia writing. I worked in research lab. I ran research, what are they called? Tests. I ran tests. So I would have like subjects come in psychology. Okay. So I had like subjects come in and I would run the tests and I would write reports and stuff. So I had like a good background in writing professionally, just not like marketing writing, right? So the problem was I hated school, so I could not do a master's or a PhD. Like I ended at my bachelor's and that was that, like I was like, I fucking hate this shit. I want to go live in a van, in the mountains and like chilling with people and learning new things about life. And that's kind of like the curiosity of that was, I think just like the curious nature that I had put me into a freelance writing role, essentially. Okay. And I owe it a lot to like my mom, because she had taught me to always be, like don't fear like yourself or your curiosities, like make sure you follow through with all the things that you want to do in your life. Cool. And I was like, sweet, like that works for me, Your
mom's cool.
Yeah, she is cool. She is cool. Mom, if you watch this, I love you. Maybe she'll watch it, I don't even know. Hopefully maybe she wants to go freelance. I'd love to help. So that's pretty much my story. And then it progressed from there. I ended up selling my van in Albuquerque. I didn't actually sell it, I junked it. And
what does that mean?
I brought it to a junkyard.
You junked it? Is that what you said?
Junked it.
Oh,
yeah,
junked
I brought it to
a
junkyard. And I guess, I don't know what they do with it, but I just wanted to get rid of it because I got a really good gig, making $32 an hour for like writing. I was charging, for whatever reason, I was charging hourly. It was earlier on with the freelance writing. But I got a really good gig, charging $32 an hour. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I actually, through that publication, it's a men's luxury publication, which still exists today. But I learned actually the basics of like SEO content. Okay. Or, search content, whatever the fuck you want to call it these days. But I learned the basics of like how to write for SEO, like why you write for example, they make money off of ads and stuff like that. Well, there's no stuff like that, it's just ads. But, that's how they monetize. So I learned a lot about that through these people. And I took those skills and I just kept building on them after that. Because I was like, all right, if I can charge $32 an hour, like there's potential in this, right. And I was like, I can do this, and I just basically have been dedicating my life to freelance writing and content and SEO and since then. And that's how I've landed here with you, sitting next to me.
In Mexico.
That was weird. I loved it. So I know I'm such. Why are we even doing here? Are you tired of freelancing platforms not meeting your needs? Talent mismatch, lowballing, high transaction fees, just to name a few of the problems. Alchemunity solves these problems and more with its unique gamified scoring system. Check them out today at alchemunity.com.
So actually, tell me a little bit about, what was your entryway?
What was my journey? So mine is twisty turny, weirdsy. So I was born on a nice, just kidding. So when I, sticking me alcohol. Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
So I went to college. I majored in English. Surprise! It's crazy. You'd never believe it. You'd never guess. And when I was majoring in English, I also worked at an early SEO, SEM agency.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was actually doing sales at the time. Very good at sales. So I was actually selling SEO services. And then eventually I transferred over and was working on optimization essentially, which was different back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did that for a while.
What was back in the day? Can you give us a year?
So back in the 2002, probably.
2002, damn.
I'm really old.
Wow.
I don't look it because Botox.
That's some veteran ass shit.
Veteran. So I've been
20 years.
in the marketing world, no. But shift. So when I was 21, I graduated from college. When I was 22, I moved my butt to Russia and Belarus, where I was on a mission. So
the Mormon mom.
I'm the Mormon mom,
She's the
ex-Mormon mom.
Ex-Mormon, that's true.
This is welcome audience to my life. Yeah, so I preached the good word of the Lord in Russia and Belarus. It was actually pretty cool. I learned Russian. It was all 2 years of Russian and service, which was very, very cool. I made a lot of great friends in both Russia and Belarus. And it was lovely. So I came home and I immediately entered graduate school where I studied language acquisition and teaching and also worked at it's really good that we're talking about working and how much we work because of previous episodes where we're we travel all the time. But so my typical day looked like getting up at about 3:30 in the morning. Where I would go and I worked at a company where I did corporate training and in Russian. So I did it for the Russian and Ukrainian markets.
What time did you wake up?
Literally 3:30 in the morning. So I would work for about 4 or 5, 6 hours and then I would go to graduate school. And I would take my classes, class. And then I would teach Russian. And then sometimes I would come back to work, sometimes not. And then I would study my brains out. So I basically did that through graduate school, just got up in the morning, worked my butt off, taught classes, and I worked at this company. And so I worked at this company all throughout graduate school.
It was a Russian company?
It was not a Russian company, but I worked in the Russian department.
Oh, okay.
So I worked for their Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, and UK markets. So sometimes I would
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So culture.
So sometimes I would go there and travel and teach.
Do you think that's what gave you this spa? Yeah, this motivation to travel and see
I
different
think
cultures?
this is what gave me the desire to do it more.
Okay.
So I like mentioned before, I'm an adventure seeker. I have to be having fun 97% of the time and maybe resting for 3% of the time.
And her therapist says she has to have fun.
She says I have to have fun. So she's hired. I will make her whatever she wants. But yeah, so I did that for a long time. And then once I graduated from graduate school, I was doing two things. I was actually teaching at the English Language Center. So I teach people who came to the United States, how to write and I was teaching a writing class essentially, but at the English Language Center. And then I was also working at this company where I would do make trainings for our Russian and Ukrainian markets essentially. So made a lot of good friends there, but also you guys, I was not making very much money, and I was like, dude, I need to like make more money. So
Can
yes,
don't you feel like that sucks though? Like,
yeah,
because I mean, you also come from a family of like service and like,
Yeah.
regardless of religious background, like service is something that's so important. I just feel like,
yeah.
doesn't it suck that
You don't make any money doing
you
it.
can't do it? Yeah, like you feel like you just can't pursue something that you enjoy because of money. So like,
Right.
how did you like pivot out of that? You know, like to start making more money but still doing something that you love. You know, like writing and teaching people.
I think like luckily I mean I majored in English, and I always like I was doing like it was actually interesting because I was doing like the marketing team would come to me and they'd be like, will you look over this proof, or would you write this for me? And so I was doing like my work, but they were also like, oh, this person also can write, so like will you like look over these things? So I was like, maybe there's something here.
Yeah.
So, and yes, it is, to answer your question, yes, it is kind of sad because I love teaching. I love instructional design. I love all like that part of things as well. And and I do, like, I'm a huge proponent of paying teachers more money. Let's give them more money. They do a lot for us and for our society. But
I can't even fucking believe how much money they don't make. Like, and they're expecting
and
to
how
do
much
so
work
much.
they do.
Like, get out of here.
They do way more than
I know.
like I've ever, like when I was teaching, it's just like it's so emotional, and you're not only like invested in like what you're teaching, but you're invested in the people that you're teaching. Like I want this like beautiful person from like Argentina to like learn this language and to like be here and to be successful, and like and you feel that about all your students, you know? And so yes, and anyway, teachers are amazing. But for me, anyway, it came to the point where I was like, I was about to get married, wasn't making very much money, and I was like, okay, I need to like plan for a family. I need to make more money.
Right.
My husband at the time was a drummer, like very good drummer,
Brandon
very
the
musical,
drummer.
very amazing, very creative.
Very
we were
good
like
feet.
very yes.
He's got really nice feet, size
And they're
14,
very
but
nice
they're also
feet.
very
He's
good looking
adorable.
for a drummer
Cute
man.
picture of Brandon, who's so cute. Anyway, so I was like, oh, like I want to make more money.
For
And
Brandon.
also I want to have more flexibility. Like I was working all of the time just at this company making like $40,000 a year or something, like just not enough money.
No.
And I was speaking Russian every day, and I was doing curriculum.
$40,000 a year.
That was like my top. Yes. And I think like I was making probably like $40,000 a year doing this job.
What year was that?
I'm not even married. It was like probably like 2006 to 2012-ish, probably.
Okay. Wow.
So it was like a while ago, but it was also just like not very much. Plus I was teaching to like supplement that, and it was just like not working out. And so I was like, okay, let's go back to the marketing roots. So we're about to get married, and I just like I need more flexibility, I need more money. And so before I quit, I started moonlighting. So I was like doing literal penny per word articles on like Text Broker, like a content mill that was like.
Never heard of that. What's Text Broker?
Text Broker's like, it's like a content mill that was back in the day, it was like an SEO, like, oh, we just need articles about like auto or like pets or whatever. And so I would just like crank away.
I've been in one of those before.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's
dental.
what I did.
I wrote about dental work.
Yes.
No idea where it went, but I wrote about it once.
Yeah, and I mean that's how SEO was back in the day. It was like keyword stuff our legs away.
Terrible.
Yeah. So that's how I started. I started it, and which is like it's just like kind of get started however you can. Anyway, so eventually I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna quit my job. So I quit my job, and this feels like a really long story. La, 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 la. So I quit my job, and I actually started working for another SEO marketing agency where I was just doing content writing for them.
Okay.
So I started doing content writing for them, and proposal and SEO writing and all this different stuff. And it was, in the background there is, as you can tell, some sort of emergency.
Yes.
Hopefully we can edit that out. If not, enjoy. But I was doing, SEO writing, and it was great because at the time I was also pregnant with my first child, and they were super flexible, just like super nice, just like you can work from home, like you can do your thing. And could you stop the recording?
No, the recording's still going.
The recording's still going.
The
Okay.
recording's still going.
Schmidt. Okay.
I wanted to get a picture of you. This is supposed to be an honest video series.
We are.
You just look so amazing. I just wanted a
We're
picture.
very raw today.
Yeah.
So I was pregnant, very sick. You guys, pregnancy is not fun. Anyone who says it's fun is either like an alien or lying. Anyway, so I was working and they let me work at home. So that was great. So I'd get my work done and then I would also work on my freelance career. And then as soon as I had my first kid, I ended up like a few months after I ended up quitting that and just going full-time freelancing. But I guess I shouldn't say full-time because I was probably working like 12 to 16 hours for years because I had a newborn.
Right.
And then 2 years later, I had another newborn and a toddler. And so
You gotta make that money.
yeah, I gotta make that money. But no, so I was taking care of my family and then also just kind of working part-time while my husband, he worked in sales. And then eventually kids grew up, and he transferred over. He started working as a creative director in an advertising agency, which he does his own like thing now. And I started working full-time. And so since then it's been 11 years and
11 years.
and
That's
now
quite
I
the
work
journey.
full-time and in the marketing and e-commerce retail niches.
Niches. What's your hook?
Niches.
Like, what do you actually like say that you do?
This is my favorite thing. Like,
Yeah.
I would say like every so often I like tell people what I do. If they work in marketing, I'm like, I write long form content for SaaS companies, essentially.
Don't we all?
And then if I tell someone else, they're like, oh,
Wait,
you're a writer?
Can we just jump on that for 1 second?
Yes.
Like, derail. Like, how many people write for software companies now?
A lot.
I feel like when you scroll through, and this isn't a bash on anyone.
It's good. That's what we do.
It's literally my fucking, so I actually recently have changed my Twitter profile.
What did you change it to?
So now I just change it. I change it from like B2B SaaS, like whatever,
Mm-hmm.
to I changed it from like anything recommended, like talking about SaaS,
Mm-hmm.
and I shifted it to increasing traffic and leads for B2B brands like Shopify and Help Scout.
I like that because it's got something actionable in it.
Exactly.
Mine's just like, hey, I write long form content for e-commerce.
Exactly,
retail,
and that's not a
marketing,
bad,
SaaS.
and that's not a bad thing. It's just like this is like a whole nother conversation to have.
Right.
Let's just
Pivot later.
pivot. No, let's pivot right into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to go straight into it.
We're gonna edit out the end of that. Our people, our editors.
Thank you.
So,
The end.
and everyone, we hope you enjoyed our freelance stories. We'll come to you next episode with some more lovely chats.
Are we going to do that next?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I love
So
you.
that's what
I'm
we do
obsessed
now.
with you.
We have. I'm the freelance mom.
She's the freelance mother, the Mormon mother of us all.
Oh, but I should also say that since then, and one thing that's cool about freelancing, I think, is that you don't have to only, like, since I have the background in teaching, I'm also like very interested in like, I really like Twitter and like showing what I've learned, or like blogging and like being like, this is what I've learned, and podcasting. This is like, just like taking different avenues to be like, this can help you grow your business or whatever, you know? So I also like the teaching aspect of it, which I know like no freelancer has to do that, but I think that it's like a cool also like opportunity to be like, this is also another avenue you can take to grow and help.
Your business.
The end.
And
We're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.